Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Backstage Pass. 'Tis I, your host, Corben Simons. This is episode 10. There we go. A little inverted right there. To my right, as always, the hardest working man in all of sports, any league, any state, any country. It is the director of social media and marketing, Mr. Parker Brown. Parker, welcome back. I say welcome back. You're always with me in this studio.
I'm always in my office.
Yes. The Meyer Suite, Meyer Party Suite, to be exact. Hit up, little number right here, hit up Connor or whatnot, or anybody, and this can be yours. Party on down or whatever. We got seats. We got menus over there. It can be yours if the price is right. So, I will say, I'm going to start off. My prediction was right in terms of the 2-0 this past week.
Listen, I'm happy.
Hey, you said to prove yourself wrong for the team to do it.
Yeah,
that's what they did. So if you were sleeping under a rock this past weekend, ladies and gentlemen, the Motor City Rockers coming off a 3-game losing streak against the River Dragons in Columbus, just a bad weekend all around. They turned a bad taste into a rewarding meal, as I like to call it. They won on Friday with a score of 4-2. We had all 3 stars of the game. Third being Danny Vanderweel with 1 point, 1 goal. Second being Pavel Svinstov with 3 points, 1 goal, and 2 assists. And another 3-point performance by our first star of the game, TJ Delaney, who, spoiler alert, I'm going to interview in a couple minutes, with 1 goal and 2 assists. And on top of that, goals in general scored also by Nicholas Miguel Diaz with Pavel, Danny, and TJ as well. And assists all around, which I found pretty interesting. 3 players with 2 assists in all. TJ Delaney, Pavel Svinstov, and Jonathan Giuliano, who I'm pretty sure you had predicted for a 2-point performance or whatnot, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I did.
Yes. So when I was writing that down in my script or whatnot, I was like, okay. And you did, yeah. I think you said one of them was a goal, which, you know, he did get a goal on Saturday. We'll get to that in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, within the post was the Dark Knight, Trevor Babin, with 35 saves. Just an all-around dominant performance. And one that I'm very happy about, and we kind of both said that, you know, if they were to get a win against Columbus, it would have to be based off of, you know, the bad taste that was put in their mouth. And Parker, you were there for the game, so give us a rundown on just how the vibe was all around.
Well, obviously very positive. Coming off a win against coming off a weekend when you beat 2 of the top teams in the league.
Yeah.
Obviously you're going to be up, you're going to be happy, and that's going to carry over to the next day. And beating Columbus on Friday, that was huge for the guys, and you could tell that the momentum and I wouldn't know what's the word. The momentum was starting to pick up.
Yeah.
It's starting to pick up at the right time, especially going into playoffs. And you know, what a good way to do it and build up that momentum again by beating Binghamton and Columbus this past weekend. Yeah,
and I mean, you know, let's just get right into the thick of it with, you know, the Binghamton game on Saturday. They won it from a score of 6-4. Binghamton, you know, had a dominant third period. You know, coming back, they scored 3 goals, I think, to Motor City's 1. But it wasn't enough. Shout out, what was the name or whatever? RJ from Over the Hedge. Enough is never enough. That was the case right there. That's how the Rockers were looking at the Black Bears there. Kind of funny. You've seen Over the Hedge, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny with the Black Bear, because that's what RJ would always say to the bear. That was always, you know, he made like a deal with him.
It's never enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like he made a deal with him or whatnot. He was like, give me the food. And RJ was like, get the hell out of here. But yeah, overall though, just not enough. That's going to be the phrase of the show. 6-4 win. Only 2 stars of the game, but first and second. Second being Lane King with 3 points, all those being 3 assists. And the first being TJ Sneath, who continues to be on a tear of a stretch with 2 points, 1 goal, and 1 assist apiece. And other goals scored by Jonathan Giuliano, who, hey, you got the 2-point and the goal down, so, you know, I forget what my predictions were in terms of a player standpoint. I think maybe I said something about Lane King because I've been on the list. But yeah, so goals scored by Jonathan Giuliano, Avery Smith, TJ Sneath, Nicholas Miguel Diaz, and Declan Conway. Oh, not and Declan Conway. Declan Conway and TJ Delaney. My apologies there. And then assists 3 from the King himself, Lane King, and then TJ Sneath, Jonathan Giuliano, another 2-point performance again. So he was just killing it, Jonathan Giuliano, this past weekend. TJ Delaney, Declan Conway, Josh Colton, Danny Vanderweel, and Scott Koash, once again, a name always within the mix there. And another dominant game by the Dark Knight himself, Trevor Babin. Shout out Batman, who what? Yesterday was his 85th birthday. We're some comic fans here. I'm pretty sure what? Wasn't it Batman?
Was it? I don't know.
I saw a lot of tweets like within the past like 2 days.
I'm a big Batman guy, and I don't know.
I just saw a bunch of things. Someone was doing like a rankings of their top 5 Batman, like live action wise or whatnot. I was happy to see Adam West get some love.
We might have to. That might have to be our preview section since we don't have a.
No, literally, yes. Well, we'll add that in. We'll do our top 5 rankings of live action or even cartoon because a lot of people had Kevin Conroy at the top.
We can talk about it.
Yes. So stay tuned for that. We'll go on a little tangent there on the show. But Trevor Babin with 39 saves, just all around a must-win weekend, as I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, especially with the season coming down now. Apologies on me. I don't have it on my sheet right now that I typed out for the amount of points differential between us and Danbury, because obviously Danbury was kind of, not that back door as we were talking about. It's always going to be at the front door, but not at the back door, because clearly then something is about to go off.
Michael Myers is always at the back door, so you don't want anybody at the back door.
Yeah, you just don't. If you know them, that's fine. If it's an exit, you're like, come on over, keys under the mat in the back door, then that's fine as well. But you don't want it to be Michael Myers. You don't want it to be Danbury. All due respect to them. But yeah. Motors say they walked in, they took what's theirs, and I'm happy to see it because I feel like, this upcoming week, obviously no games at all, so it gives them a nice week to just kind of rest, practice, rejuvenate, and get their mind ready for the last 2 games, one away in Port Huron and one at home, which is the regular season finale against Port Huron as well. And obviously we'll talk about it more next week in the preview, but a little spoiler, I think another 2-0 weekend. I think they're going to finish on a 4-game win streak to really solidify themselves in that 2nd seed. But Parker, all around, like I said, you were there for the games. I unfortunately wasn't. But just what was the vibe, especially within the team, just being around the guys?
Oh, man, they were hype. Like I said, beating the 2 top teams in the league, and especially how dominant they have been all year, it was a good feeling. Gordy was hype. Us in the office were hype. I mean, the guys are especially really excited about the win. Being able to walk out the weekend, kind of go into this bye week on a 2-game win streak instead of losses is definitely it's definitely a good feeling, and it's gonna. I have a good feeling about how this is gonna carry through. Especially, I think when I first noticed that the momentum changed was Saturday. I think I've talked about this before, but Saturday in Columbus, where there was a sit-down conversation between the players and just like how holding each other accountable, and that was, I think that was I could feel it in the room where you can tell that there's a switch got flipped.
Yeah.
And being able to flip that switch and just, I mean, obviously they lost Sunday, but going into the following weekend and beat Columbus and Binghamton, huge. That's a huge
accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there
huge
you go.
Accomplishment.
No, I would agree 100%, especially, thinking back to our conversation, the preview last episode. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. It was like we were staying optimistic, my apologies, but at the same time, I kept saying this was an honest pod. We were being honest at the same time. Of course, I, just kind of went a little bit balls to the wall with it, and I said it's going to be a 2-0 sweep. You had said 1-1 because at the end of the day, we are going up against the 2 best teams in the league, so of course anything can happen on their side of things. And fortunately enough, that is not the case. They didn't go 1 for 1 or even 0 for 2. They went 2-0. And I feel like, you need that. You need that, especially after such a defeating weekend it was in Columbus. Obviously, you got to drive, 16, 17 hours down there, get your butt whooped a little bit. You got to drive all the way back, on a bus and whatnot. And to where, because in sports in general, we've seen it many times. I mean, I know I kind of trashed on them a couple episodes ago. Look at the Red Wings. When they got down, they continue to stay down necessarily. And that is one thing I feel like with the Rockers they have mastered, to realize
Stay down. Just kidding.
that when they're down, it's, we got to go back up. They pick each other up. The fans pick them up too, because obviously, these past 2 games were at home in Big Boy Arena, right behind Parker and I. Come down for a game. Yeah, we're at LCA right now. Or this has all been one big green screen plot twist, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, look at this.
That actually would be crazy if, like, you know, I'm just like, and then just like it just all goes down.
It's just like our basement.
But yeah, no. Overall, though, a great weekend of hockey. And how was Throwback Night? Were people? Because that was Saturday, right? Or what was it called? Like 70s night or something?
What I want to talk about is $2 beer night.
Oh, that's yeah. We can talk about that.
Oh my gosh, I appreciate all the fans that came out that night. We had beer snakes going.
Beer. I did see a picture of that. Yeah.
We had a beer snake.
It was
going.
like right over there or something or whatnot.
Yeah, it was a ride. The energy on Friday was so much better than I was expecting.
Is that the first beer snake you've seen at a game here?
This year, yeah.
Yeah.
This year, definitely the first beer snake. Not the first beer snake I've seen.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe we can have maybe that can be a continuation on Saturday.
Yeah, you never really know.
Get a beer snake going. I don't know.
We won't incentivize you, but just know if so, you'll be on the social media.
I'm not saying do it, but I'm implying you should do it, you know?
So beer snakes all around, just overall a fun time.
Imagine we got a beer snake going all the way around. I'm just saying.
That's the thing, too. Screw the horizontal, or the vertical, my apologies, beer snake. Let's get the horizontal one, you know, going. Let's get it wrapped
all around.
Yeah.
All around.
And who knows, maybe one day, if someone brings in a hamster, we'll cut the holes at the end of the cups. There's just one big hamster wheel just going around.
That'd be a riot.
It would be a riot. And then if the hamster gets lost, then we'd have a little bit of an issue. But one thing we will not be having an issue with...
Why is the hamster drunk?
It'll be licking on the sides of it. But one thing we will not be having an issue with, ladies and gentlemen, is a great interview. As coming up, I will be sitting down with TJ Delaney. You do not want to miss that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the interview portion of the episode. I am joined by Mr. TJ Delaney. TJ, thank you for joining us today. So let's kick it off right here. You have played a few seasons in D3 hockey, playing for Trine University and Marian University before your time in the FPHL. So overall, just tell the viewers, how was your time playing college hockey beforehand?
It was awesome. It really gives you a set period of time to develop not only as a player on the ice, but as a person off the ice too. Mm-hmm. You get X amount of time each day to do team workouts. Everybody that you're living with and hanging out with has the same goal and the same passion. So, it's really good to grow as a freshman until senior year, and take that 4 years of time to develop yourself hockey-wise, personally, and all that.
And if there is an answer to this question, where do you think you found the most growth in yourself amongst the two universities, Trine or Marian?
I'd say definitely Trine, because when you first get there freshman year, it honestly kicks your butt. Like, you're doing school, you're doing team workouts twice a day. They really get you going, sort of like a boot camp mentality, you and all the other freshmen. At the time it sucks, but looking back on it, it could have been better for me.
And I have heard from, obviously, you just now and other people that I've known in the past that have played college athletics, they kind of, you know, like you said, kind of more like a boot camp.
Yeah.
Do you think that leading up to knowing that you're going to be in playing college athletics, do you think that high school athletics or even maybe travel should kind of prepare certain athletes a little more for that type of lifestyle?
Yeah, I think it depends on the sport. I think football and baseball do a really good job of that. They're always prioritizing working on your athleticism, your strength, that sort of deal. You do in baseballs. Growing up, you play 2 games a day. In football, you're doing 2-a-day practices and stuff. So I would assume there's a little bit less of a culture shock when you get to college versus things like hockey or basketball even. So, yeah.
And if you, to finish up these type of questions right now relating to that, if you were a hockey coach, let's say in high school, what is one thing you would do for your players that you know, or even just the whole team, if they, you know, have admiration to even like try to get to the collegiate level later on? What would you do to kind of help them get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely just communicate them that they have to understand the people that they're competing with for these spots are doing everything they can in the off season, staying, you know, extra on the ice, working on just very basic things that you might find to be boring. You have to master those things, and you have to take advantage of the time off the ice, especially during the long off season, to develop yourself.
So now after college, that's when you immediately kind of gone into the FPHL. You had actually gotten your first stint, not with the Rockers, but with Delaware. Just explain to the viewers, how did that opportunity come for you?
Yeah, I was just kind of looking for a place to play. I ended up signing with Elmira at first, and then I don't know what the deal was. I think they had too many players at the time and weren't ready to get rid of some guys, so they just traded me right to Delaware. Mm-hmm. Me being a new guy in the league, I didn't really have much of a choice but to go. I ended up loving it. It was a really good experience. We were a struggling team when I got there. We ended up picking up some wins towards the end of the year, but it was really good to go in and kind of get a lot of playing time, meet some new guys, and have some fun.
And then what ultimately led you to becoming a Motor City Rocker?
Yeah, so Delaware, I guess they folded it during the off season, and so there's a dispersal draft. So Watertown ended up picking up my rights during the dispersal draft, but my younger brother, ended up coming here. So I kind of communicated to the ownership at Delaware, not Delaware, Watertown, that I would like my rights to be traded over here. It took a couple weeks of convincing, but then eventually I think it all worked out, and so I ended up getting to play with my brother.
And speaking of the dispersal draft, because I didn't know that was even a thing until now talking to you, what is that type of process of knowing that you're getting thrown in it? Like, is it a lengthy one, or is it one that kind of moves a little bit fast?
It's not lengthy it's lengthy when you know it's going to happen, but eventually it's all over within a day or so. You might get a couple phone calls from a couple different coaches, and then they'll do whoever finished lowest in the standings gets first pick on the guys who are not protected from each team. So I think since it was a little bit different with Delaware because they disbanded, but since we're getting, I think, maybe one or two new teams in the league this next year, so it'll be all the guys who are unprotected, and then they'll get picked up if other teams want them.
Okay. During your time in Delaware, obviously goalie for Rockers, Trevor Babin, had played for them at one point as well. So did you have any familiarity with him coming into the Rockers and whatnot?
I had heard about him,
Okay.
but I had never met him or played against him. I didn't get to play against Motor City last year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I heard about him plenty. Everyone knows Trevor Babin. So.
And after about 44 games played so far this season, you currently sit second amongst the team in goals with 25, 17 assists, and tied for third in points with Josh Colton at 42. An absolute stellar season by you, may I say. So how does it feel knowing that you're having a big impact on the ice for the team?
It's been great, honestly. I've gotten a chance to play a lot of meaningful minutes. I mean, a lot of special teams, power play, penalty kill. There's times where it's stressful because it's like if you're not producing, you're the one taking up those minutes for other guys that could be doing that. Mm-hmm. But it's been great. It's taught me a lot. And yeah, I hope to keep it going. It's been a fun year.
And was there, obviously going into this being your first season with the Rockers, was there any nerves necessarily of trying to adjust to the team and obviously showing who you are?
I wouldn't say there was nerves, but maybe a little bit of growing pains when it first started. Anytime you come to a new situation, new team, you don't know how your new line mates are going to play. There's a lot of chemistry that needs to be built up. But everyone was really welcoming. I think when I first got here, the team was doing super well. So there was a little bit less pressure on me to produce and be the kind of goal scorer or have that production that I currently have. So that was nice because it was like I could just ease into it and get going from there.
And what is one aspect of your game that you pride yourself on necessarily?
I'd say probably my shot.
Okay.
I've worked on it a lot in the last couple years. Whether that's shooting pucks in my basement during the summertime or shooting pucks before or after practice. It's something that I feel like I've actually grown a lot at because at one point in time I did not have a very good shot. I was just a skinny kid who
Yeah.
didn't really have much power behind it. So it's been nice to kind of see that evolve over the last few years.
So what is one thing that you would send to, we'll say to the younger audience out there or whatnot that want to improve on their shot? What should they focus on?
Definitely a lot of repetitions, but you need to work on your forearm strength, whether that's doing things like wrist curls or farmer's carries, or they'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, forearm strength, I would say, and just repetition, and then you'll figure it out.
Okay. And so we have a couple more questions left, kind of generic about hockey, and then obviously we'll get into the fun get to know you questions. One thing that you had alluded to earlier about playing with your brother, in general, how does it feel to be able to play with your brother at this level?
Honestly, it's been amazing. It's been better than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have to come here and take care of him. But he's been great. He's been super fun to play with. And he's actually taught me a lot about myself and a lot about the game. And I just don't know if I would have ever gotten that experience anywhere else playing without him.
And have you guys, did you guys ever play with each other in college or even any other level prior?
No, that's the thing. So we're 4 years apart. So, I mean, we played together during the summers and pick up hockey and stuff, but never on a competitive team. So I've never really seen him in this sort of environment.
Okay.
From a day-to-day basis. I've only seen him after practice or during summer league stuff where it's not necessarily that serious.
Have you guys ever had necessarily like a sibling rivalry within, kind of something for fun?
Of course. He always wants to beat me. I want to beat him. Growing up, playing knee hockey or in the street, I would kick his butt all the time, and then eventually, I think it made him better, and he started doing the same thing to me.
Yeah.
He always kicked my butt in video games, so even though I was older than him, he always would beat me in that. So
yeah, so you just had to find your way to take him down or whatnot.
Yeah, it's good for him though.
So one of the final questions here amongst these type, what is your favorite aspect of being a Motor City Rocker?
I love how tight the team is and the community that we have right now. I like the fact that you can see things picking up. You can see the organization getting bigger. We're getting more fans to games. You're seeing a lot of the same faces, though, and they've played a huge part in growing things. So, yeah, I would just say that and just the guys in the room have been amazing. I don't think I've played on a team in quite some time that was as close as we are. And we're basically no drama, which is great.
Yeah.
So the guys are awesome. And yeah, a lot of the fans that show up every game have been amazing too.
And one thing I've realized too, being down in the tunnel or whatnot, if you're in the penalty box or whatever, you kind of chat with some fans, the younger ones that try to, obviously get some autographs and whatnot. Do you kind of like how, regardless the penalty box will be close to fans, but just kind of in that proximity, is that something that you enjoy?
Yeah, I love it. I know some guys are super serious and like to stay focused at all times, but for the most part, I think some of my teammates think I'm a little bit angry. But overall, I feel like I'm a pretty laid-back guy, and I feel like interacting with fans and getting the young ones into the game, whether it's giving them a puck or a fist bump, I think that's great because, it keeps them showing up, and you want to try to be a good role model for them, and also, keep them entertained, and that kind of stuff can go a long way for a younger fan or somebody who's new to the game.
And recently, if I have it correct, you were mic'd up, correct, in like a pregame type standpoint. Yeah. How was that? Was that a unique feeling right there?
Yeah, it's good. Around? It's fun because I'm talking anyway, but then when you're mic'd up, you have to figure out, can I say this on the microphone? No. Sometimes you don't know, is this going to be something that's funny or is this going to be something they would use? You're always thinking that while you're warming up and stuff, so it's interesting. I'd definitely do it again.
Would you ever do it in game?
I would for sure do it in a game.
Do you think
you'd have to bleep a lot of stuff out, but I'd for sure do it in a game.
You might have to make sure yours is a little more secure this time.
Yeah.
So final question before we get into the fun get to know you ones. Why number 67?
Oh, that was the very first number I had when I started playing hockey.
Okay.
So the very first number I got to pick for myself was 67. I don't know why I picked it. So
Just kind of off
yeah,
the rim,
yeah. I
67?
think I just thought. I don't dislike the numbers that everyone else uses and stuff, but I like to have a unique number, I think.
I like that. I like that though, because people go for like a lot of generics, like in the 20s, the single-digit ones or whatnot or whatever. Because like I said, 67. I can't remember last time I ever saw like a 67.
There
on TV.
aren't very many good 67s. So.
Oh, not many. All right, so now let's get to the fun, get to know you ones, so the audience knows TJ Delaney a little bit better here. Starting off like I always do with the hometown, you are from St. Louis, Missouri.
Correct.
What is your favorite thing to do when you're there?
I like to go to Cardinals baseball games when I'm home. It's like
Big
my
Cardinals fan.
favorite thing to do in the summer. Yeah, I'm a huge Cardinals fan. Yeah, my Blues are struggling a little bit right now, so I don't know if they're going to make playoffs. But summertime, I like to go to playoff hockey games or definitely Cardinals games.
Do you think that, obviously you guys only have a couple sports, not the whole four just yet and whatnot. Do you think that St. Louis is an underrated sports city? Because I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that we're interesting. We like to pride ourselves in being super passionate about, and we are.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes a little bit overboard when it comes to like struggling teams and stuff. Because we're spoiled with a lot of good baseball and even the Rams won a Super Bowl and we're good for a little bit too. But
now, do you root for the Rams? Even
not
though
anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
So who? Because you guys side with like the Chiefs, I would assume.
People around me side with the Chiefs, but I can't do that. I can't just hop on, the best team's fan base. I think that's kind of stupid. But I like the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What led you to the Cowboys?
I lived in Dallas for the year that the Rams left.
Okay.
I lived in Dallas, so I got to kind of see that whole atmosphere down there, and it was a little mind-blowing to me, but it was great. So
yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Especially because I feel like if you're a Cowboys fan, it's like a brand. It's a bad,
Yeah, and they have a chip on their shoulder because everyone hates them and stuff. I kind of like that. That's kind of.
So with that being said, now that you're a Cowboys fan, of course, living in Michigan, close to Detroit.
Yeah.
When it came to that game this past regular season, what was your take on it?
It was. I think the Cowboys got off the hook.
Okay.
Yeah, but
we have some admit.
I like the Lions too. I don't have any personal anything against the Lions. It was very cool to see them be good this year and to see the city kind of rally behind them. So.
What about the Eagles?
No, I can't stand the Eagles. It's nothing to do with the team. It's the people in Philly. Don't tell Babin I said that, but.
Oh, I was about to say, because I remember when I had Babin on, he was all like, "Oh yeah,
they're the worst."
He was like, "We love it over here."
They're the worst.
I agree. I like some Philly sports teams, but to root for them on the side. But in terms of their,
it's not even the sports teams. They'll just tell you how great they are the second that you start talking to them about anything.
And they might be one of the worst teams in their respective league or whatnot that year.
Right.
So to keep it on St. Louis, one thing I've always heard, I've never been. I would love to visit St. Louis one day. Is it true that you guys have a good barbecue scene out there?
Yeah, definitely. I like barbecue spots from all over the place, but from what I've heard, I think we have like 2 of the top 10 places in the country for barbecue, like just little restaurants.
Okay.
I like brisket.
Okay.
It's my favorite. But yeah, it's good barbecue there for sure.
Is there any restaurant that you would recommend for the viewer if they were to visit St. Louis tomorrow?
Yeah, Pappy's Smokehouse is like the best barbecue place ever.
Okay.
And then I think another popular place that people go is a place called Sugar Fire.
Sugar Fire.
Yeah,
okay.
so if you're ever there, I would definitely check those places out.
And this is a personal question for me because I love landmarks and whatnot, and I forget what it's called though down in St. Louis, but
the Arch?
The Arch, that's what it is. Is it as big as people claim it is?
Yeah, it's the tallest building in the city, and it's the tallest.
Oh wait, it's a building too?
Yeah, it's technically I think a monument, but you can go inside of it.
Can you?
Yeah,
okay.
so it's the tallest monument or man-made monument, I guess, in the country.
Oh, I never knew.
So yeah, it's huge.
So I'm assuming you've been inside.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What is there to do inside?
Nothing. You just look out over the beautiful. You look out over the beautiful Mississippi River, and you get to look into beautiful East St. Louis.
Okay.
And yeah, or you can look over into the St. Louis side or Missouri side. So
Interesting.
yeah, it just overlooks the city. There's little windows, and it sways back and forth. And I'm a little bit too tall to fit in like the little elevators that go up now. They're like little
so
pods.
it's definitely not for people, of
Well,
a certain height.
There's a museum underneath the building too.
Okay.
So and it's like a national park on top. Now like not on top, but
Yeah.
above ground.
Interesting.
So
I definitely got to check that out.
yeah, check it out. It's fun.
And speaking of, you mentioned height here. How does it feel to be tied for the tallest on the team with Tristan Wells?
It's interesting. I've been tall for quite some time, but if I were to do it over again, I'd probably play goalie or defense or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What makes you think that in terms of a hockey standpoint?
Because I think that you get more out of being a bigger guy if you're a goalie or if you're a defenseman.
Okay.
There's advantages and disadvantages. I like my ability to reach the puck and kind of use my leverage around people, but sometimes being a taller guy, it's harder to stop and start and get my feet moving like the quick little guys do.
Interesting. So to kind of, obviously we're talking about barbecue, to go back to the food topic in general, one question I always ask whoever I'm interviewing, favorite food or meal?
Favorite food, I would say, honestly, I'd say a nice triple cheeseburger from Steak and Shake is my go-to.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, or I would say double orange chicken,
Okay.
fried rice from Panda Express.
I like
That's
that.
like my
He
favorite
knows what's
fast
up.
food meal.
Okay.
Yeah, those two.
And what, like, for those meals for you, like, what gets it going? Like, is it just the taste? Is it just the combination of,
I just
the
like
chicken with the
greasy
rice?
food. I like
Okay.
fast food. I've never had a problem eating anything in my life, so I've always been just down to try anything. I like sushi too. It's my
Okay.
if I'm trying to be healthy, even though I know sushi's not healthy.
So I always ask what your favorite hockey team is, but obviously I can assume the St. Louis Blues.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'll tally on that. Favorite hockey player growing up, or players if you've had multiple.
I'd say Alex Ovechkin was my favorite player growing up.
I feel we've had a lot of Ovechkins on this
Yeah,
show.
he's. I mean, getting older and stuff. I can appreciate the guys like Crosby and and whatnot, but Ovechkin was always like who I wanted to be when I was younger.
Do you think he's going to reach those records?
100% is going to
Okay.
reach it. He's not going to stop until he hits it. He's only got like, I think it's 45 more goals to go.
Yeah.
I know, he might not get there next year, but there's no doubt in my mind he does it. He plays until he gets it.
Oh, yeah. And how do you feel about recently it's come out, like, what his pregame meal is, like Subway and Flamin' Hot Cheetos or whatever?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. He's kind of a guy who, like, that's sort of his mentality, though. Like, people laugh at it, that it's not the healthiest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's been known to, drink, I think, Dr. Pepper on the bench sometimes.
Oh, really?
But that's, like, his mentality is, I don't care. I'm going to go out there, play hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to really mind the little things and look too much into it. If I'm the best player out there and I work, as hard as I can, then I'm gonna score a goal on you. Like I'm gonna lead my team to a cup or whatever. So.
Yeah. So a couple more, and then we'll get you out of here. Once again, thank you for coming on and being such a good interviewed or whatnot. I was about to say host here. So when you're not playing hockey, what does TJ Delaney like to do in his free time?
Not a whole lot. I like to just relax and chill.
Okay.
Some guys like to just buzz around all day. I'm kind of just like to sit back, watch some sports. I like to hang out with my brother, my roommates who have been awesome this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
And then final one here, we'll get you out of here. What is your favorite all-time hockey moment? It could be something that's either happened to you, something you watched, anything in the world of hockey. What is it?
Without a doubt, it's in 2019 when the Blues won the Stanley Cup. Without a doubt, my favorite. Even though it's not me personally, but that was cool to see.
Did you go to the parade, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I did. other than that, I won a league championship in Junior A when I played up in Canada in Cochrane. That was amazing to do as well. That was amazing to be a part of, to be a part of like a championship team. And yeah.
Nice. So there you guys have it. TJ Delaney, thank you once again for coming on down.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. Stay tuned, as Parker and I will not be previewing games this upcoming week because we have none. We'll be looking ahead at the playoffs, so stay tuned for that. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was me with TJ Delaney. TJ, if you're watching this, I'm just going to say it once again, thank you for coming on. We'd love to have you back on soon. So, of course, this is the first episode. It only took 10 to where we can't do a proper preview, look at certain games ahead or whatnot. But one thing we can look ahead for, because we've already been clinched, the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, some of the best words in all of sports. And obviously here in the Motor City Rockers universe, we have been getting excited for it at every level here. So, Parker, looking ahead here, as of right now, the teams that are fighting for a spot are Elmira and Watertown, obviously in the Empire Division, which is the division that the Rockers are currently in, and sit second in and are 5 points ahead of Danbury. Parker, while we were adjusting the cameras and whatnot, gave me that knowledge since I did not have it in time. My apologies once again.
I just got a big brain.
You do, yeah. Hardest working man in all of sports, what I keep saying. So in your opinion here, who do you think gets the last spot?
I think Watertown deserves it more, personally.
And what's your stance? Because you were high on Watertown a couple weeks ago.
I'm still high on Watertown. I think Watertown's the better team. I
Okay.
think Watertown's also had a very tough schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They beat us a couple times. You know what Elmira had? Elmira's beat us once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
I think Watertown's beat us like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But I think overall Watertown is a better team.
Mm-hmm.
I think eventually, with Elmira's schedule coming up, it's going to be pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
They play Elmira and Watertown meet each other, I believe, 3 more times before the end of the season. So we'll see. My prediction is that Elmira is going to be the team that gets eliminated.
Okay. And another little question here, a little guess. With all teams currently under 100 points on the season, and obviously at this point of the season they cannot get any past that or necessarily, so they'll all be on only 3 teams currently. Columbus, Carolina, and Binghamton right now currently sit with 100 plus. So of course excluding the Motor City Rockers because we are biased at times with them. Out of Port Huron, Mississippi, and right now Danbury, who is clinched right now for a playoff seed that is under 100 points. I'm not going to count Elmira or Watertown because, like I said, they are not clinched yet. They are still battling for it in these last 2 weekends. Out of those 3 teams, and you can even mention Motor City if you want to, go for it at this point. This is your segment right now. Which team under less than 100 points do you think could kind of shock the league this upcoming playoff?
It's not even a bias. I think it's us.
Okay.
I 100% think it's us. We only played Carolina once. It was a disappointing loss.
Mm-hmm.
We played Danbury twice. We split that series. We've beaten both Carolina and Columbus. We've beaten Columbus twice. We're 2 of Columbus's 5 losses this year.
Mm-hmm.
Binghamton we beat twice. Binghamton's a tougher team when played at home.
Yeah.
So I honestly think, depending on the circumstance, I think it's us. I think we're the more hungry team. I think just in general, like, especially how the season started to where it's now, like, we started very hot.
Yeah.
We played Elmira. I think we lost only 1 game thanks to Nick Gullo. Shout out, Nick. Thanks for beating us in a shootout. But we didn't have a regulation loss until like 5 weeks in. It was nuts. And now, obviously you're going to lose eventually. You're going to have those tough games. But this team, especially last week, was an extreme. Like I even predicted, it was the game against Binghamton was going to be the most physical game of the year, and it was. Mm-hmm. Actually, honestly, both game against Columbus and Binghamton. This team is physical, and teams have a hard time when you're hitting them every time.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with you. Of course, I left Motor City out because, like I said, we can be a little biased at times. But it is the truth.
But I'm going to be honest.
Going back to last week, we're a truthful pod.
We are a truthful pod. But I mean, if I'm gonna have to pick a team outside of Motor City, I feel like it's Danbury.
Really? Okay.
I think Danbury.
What makes you say that?
It's their environment. I mean, their environment's tough to play in.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I haven't played it, but I can tell how tough it is. I mean, the fans really get in the players' heads. Like, you can. I mean, if you've ever watched a game between Danbury and Binghamton, like those teams don't like each other. Those fan bases don't like each other, and it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember after our win, our overtime win in Danbury night 1, we got a goal in. It got overruled. Then we got the goal, and then I remember all the guys walking off the ice, and it was like fans are yelling at them, the players are yelling back. Like, it's intense, and
Yeah.
I think Danbury. If we have to play 2 games in Danbury, it's going to be a very tough time.
And, of course, as of right now, we don't want that to happen. And the magic number for that to happen is basically just, not necessarily a number, just we just have to win and they lose
We have
a
to
game.
win the next 2 games, and they have to lose.
Yes.
I think they play this week, too, so.
They do, yeah, because as of right now, Motor City has played the most games in the season. That's why, obviously, with an odd number of teams in the whole FPHL, we're getting the week off, thankfully. I kind of like that our bye week comes with, the second to last week, so it gets, just a little bit of a little pep in the step, necessarily, as I like to say.
Yeah, I think the one thing that worries about me is that we have momentum right now, and that we're now going to stop this momentum for a bye week. I think that's my only worry.
I can see that, though. I mean, obviously, in baseball terms, I am a fan of the LA Dodgers, and that's what's happened to them in the past couple playoffs, with that weird bye week.
Tigers know it too well.
Yeah. Speaking of Tigers, hey, we're the pizza stick. That's a hell of a thing, man. I know it's a little Illich nepotism. I will say that, but it's great. I enjoy it. It's I mean, I would say it's definitely better than the Red Wings bit that they had last season. But that, once again, Illich nepotism.
I like that. I liked the Red Wings one, but maybe we need to do something like that here after each goal.
I wouldn't mind that too. Yeah, give them a little just a little sticker, a little guitar. A little guitar or whatever. Obviously, we have a bunch of blow-up ones or whatnot.
Do what Ohio State and Michigan do, put the stickers on the helmet.
I do like that. I've always thought that the stickers on the helmet are a nice move. Obviously, Florida State does that as well, or whatnot. So, all right. So, one last question I'm going to give you, Parker, and then we'll end the episode on our terms. We're taking over the script, and we're going to do a little Batman ranking, just in honor of it. Right now, and you can be biased all you want if you want to. If the championship, if tomorrow were to be the FPHL finals, who's playing in it, and what's the outcome?
Oh God, that's a tough question. I feel like you have to put Columbus in there. I mean, I just feel like you have to.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Columbus and us.
Columbus and Motor City.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. The purple on the red. I think purple
nice
come
little
on top. Blue and red make purple, and Columbus is light blue and red. So I mean, maybe there'll be a little purple after that game.
I like that. I like that thought process there. I'm not gonna have an answer because I'm the one asking the questions today necessarily.
Yeah.
So any comments? Yeah, it's on this man. It's not on me, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not jinxing it. I promise.
So of course, very light episode today due to the off week or whatnot. So like I said, we're gonna have a little bit of fun here instead of a top 5 ranking because my mind cannot process that right now.
In honor of Trevor Babin.
Yes, I like that. That's
the Dark Knight.
Yes, in honor of Trevor Babin, in honor of the Dark Knight's 85th birthday or something. That was either yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was. Parker and I, if you don't know, we are big comic book fans, big superhero fans in general. It runs deep in our blood.
That's Star Wars for me.
Yeah,
I'm a big Star Wars.
I've seen all the Star Wars. I never really got into it that much necessarily.
Get out of here. Do you watch the shows?
I think the only show I've watched is Mandalorian.
Clone Wars?
No,
oh my god!
I never watched the Clone Wars. No, I will admit to that.
You gotta watch Clone Wars.
I'm big on like Amazon right now, like Invincible.
Oh, that's a bang.
Invincible's a hell of a show. The Boys, hell of a show. Which pretty sad, a little tangent, but the guy from Gen V, if you heard about that, he passed away too. R.I.P. to Chance Perdomo.
Too much death this week for me.
I know. But yeah, no. So we're gonna end on in honor of Trevor Babin, Dark Knight, keeping it Motor City Rockers related and whatnot. Instead of a top 5, because like I said, my brain cannot do the capacity.
We could do the top 5.
Okay, you know what? Screw it. Let's do top 5. Top 5 live action or cartoon Batmans.
Or cartoon. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
No, we can say it. We got a couple swear words we can
crap.
pay off before the FCC starts finding us.
Good thing we're not FCC regulated.
Yes.
Are you going first or am I going first?
You know what? Since I asked you all those questions, I'll start off first. We'll go 5 and up. 5 obviously being,
Do we want to do 5 at the same time? Like, you'll say your 5, I'll say my 5? Okay.
Yeah, we'll go that route.
I like it.
I'll have to look up the cartoon, because the only one I can really think of is Kevin Conroy. I mean, he's done a lot of it necessarily. Because the live action, there's been a decent amount, but you know what? This might be a hot take, and I'll be crucified on it for some reason, because it was only, and I'm only going based off one movie, because the Justice Leagues, I do not count. Those are bad.
Oh, I know you're getting.
Number 5, I'm going to go Ben Affleck.
All right.
Batfleck. I think in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, I didn't think it was bad. I think the potential was there. I think, of course, if you know the lore like we do, DC at that time was just in hell. There's no direction going on there.
Yeah.
I think his Bruce Wayne could have been a little bit better, but I think as Batman, I like the grittier version. Granted, I didn't like the murderous aspect. Batman doesn't kill.
Yeah.
But in terms of potential, I guess there was stuff there, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it necessarily.
Ooh. I had one at first, but I'm gonna have to change. I'm gonna have to move that guy up, but I'm gonna have to say Adam West.
Adam West, okay.
I think Adam West.
He's the OG.
He is
in the funniest ways too.
He's what really what popularized Batman.
Yeah.
But he's not Batman, if you know what I mean. Like he's
Oh
not.
hell no.
Like when I think of Batman, I think of dark. I think of, I'm gonna go get the Joker. That kind of guy. But
I agree with you. An example.
he's too silly. Like for me to put him any higher.
That's what I was about to say, because the one example I always remember, because when I was very young, my parents, they got me like a bunch of superhero stuff, one of those being live, the Adam West Batman, like DVDs or whatnot. There was one episode, I forgot what it was, and instead of like a fight battle between the Joker, they said a surf-off.
Yeah, dude, like the most like
they hopped in their bathing suits, went in the ocean, see who could ride the biggest wave the longest or something.
The most outrageous stuff
like,
ever.
okay.
Like the most outrageous stuff ever. But like as a kid, I loved it.
Oh yeah, because
we're
just eating this up necessarily.
Yeah, he's my number 5.
I like that. Number 4. Number 4, I'll go Adam West, because I think in a lot of ways it's like I said, it's the OG. I agree with you in the sense of he popularized it, so regardless of how silly it was or whatnot, we got to tip his cap to him, because without him, Batman might not be the character we all know and love it as. It's kind of like with Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
They're in 60 years when they reboot the whole Marvel universe, people are gonna be excited for Iron Man because of Robert Downey Jr. He was the blueprint necessarily. But yeah, I would have to say Adam West in that aspect. It was just just very from nostalgia base. Of course, I wasn't alive for that. But yeah, just kind of without him, who knows where Batman would be at now. That's my thought process on it necessarily.
All right, you might hate me a little bit for this one. Number 4, Christian Bale.
Really?
I think he's a little. I
can see the vision behind it.
He's what I grew up on as Batman. I think he's a little too realistic for my version, like what my ideal version of Batman is.
Would you agree with me when I say that he was a better Bruce Wayne than he was Batman?
I think he was phenomenal on either ends. It's the voice.
Yeah,
it was the
where
voice.
is she?
And
Like
I think his villains outshined him as a character.
Hot take, but it's a hot take that I can sit on. I like that. I like that.
When your Batman isn't like your Joker and your Batman should be like on the same pillar. But when your Joker's like this and your Batman's like this, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like,
well, it's kind of funny. Would you? Because I've always had the notion that the Dark Knight kind of mirrors the movie Infinity War in the sense of the movie solely focuses on the villain more. Like Infinity War was that was a Thanos movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't an Avengers film in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like that was kind of the same way with the Dark Knight. It was more like, the Joker, and even still, I definitely see the vision you're going to, because at the same time, even though he kind of becomes it in the third act of the film, a lot of focus on Harvey Dent too, Two-Face in that film as well.
Yeah.
Now thinking back on it.
Those movies are phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
I'm never gonna say that, but I think there are definitely 3 Batmen that are better than.
I can see that. I can see that. I will say too, because he was not in my top 3 and I thought about it, and I think for some, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. This might be a hot take, which I will die on this hill. Not a big fan of Michael Keaton Batman films.
My God!
I'll say it. I'll say it. I'll say it right now. I'll say it because it was kind of like clicking in and whatnot. For some reason, I can never get behind them. I mean, they're not bad. Don't get it twisted. But I think I don't know. It's something that when I was little and I watched them, I was just like, get this stuff off my screen right now necessarily. Not in a bad way, but just in a way of like, there's definitely better. Because I do have my top 3. I have it already. Number 3, I'm going to go with Kevin Conroy, animated voice version.
Shit.
I definitely think that, obviously when it comes to voicing Batman, he's the best. I mean, I know only a handful of people have done it because he's kind of taken over it in video games, cartoons, or whatnot. I definitely feel like, speaking of cartoons with DC cartoons when we were growing up were the thing. Yeah. Like they were hot in the streets.
Justice League.
Yeah, much better than Marvel ones in my personal opinion. And I think, it kind of stems for him. I mean, I can't think of it. The Killing Joke, that cartoon, absolutely. Kids don't watch that. I'm pretty sure it's only for adults, if I'm not mistaken. Well, it is, because thinking of what happens in it. I mean, for crying out loud. But yeah, no, just in general, he knew how to do it. I was very sad when he had passed away a couple of years ago. And, I think he has I think they said he technically has one more, either it's a video game that Batman will be in or a cartoon that he had voiced that they still plan to release. Hopefully the last thing we don't hear him in is the Killing the Justice League video game, because obviously he dies in that. Spoiler alert, it's based off the name. But yeah, I would have to go with Kevin Conroy, necessarily. Number 3.
My number 3 is Michael Keaton.
Okay. Try to prove me wrong. Let me see your vision behind it.
Michael Keaton's Batman is the reason why we see Batman as the dark and gritty we think of today.
He wore Jordans too, might I add. That's
did he actually?
Yeah, his shoes were Jordans. Oh. It was the best thing ever.
You see Batman today, you think, oh, my parents, grr.
Yeah.
That all stems from Tim Burton's movies. That all of it does.
Okay.
And that movie and those movies brought us the animated series. So the Michael Keaton Batman movies were so instrumental in how we as a society vision Batman today.
You know what, Parker? Because obviously I'll admit, it's been years since I've seen a Michael Keaton Batman film. I'll get on it soon. I'll see if as it's like it's like your taste buds. As you get older, they change. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse.
That's fair.
So I'll see it because it's like, I like I said, I've never hated it, but in general, I've just always been like, I'd rather watch another Batman. But I can see your reasons for that now. It makes sense because if you think about the timeline, once Keaton, that's where kind of Batman, necessarily really took off in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if any of us will have George Clooney on our list.
No,
but no, we will not have.
No, spoiler. George Clooney's not.
Yeah,
on my
no.
list.
I listen. Regardless, those movies.
Arnold Schwarzenegger would have been on my Batman list, though.
The George Clooney ones were terrible movies in my opinion. But the worst thing about them too is the bat suit cannot have nipples on it. It was just a crazy detail that got past. They're all crazy. They're all crazy during that time. So those are our number 3s. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Christian Bale, solely based off of a lot of it being nostalgia.
We might have the same number 1.
I think we will, and I'm happy we are gonna have the same number 1 necessarily. But yeah, no, Christian Bale, just kind of like what you said, Parker. It's obviously we're the same age, 23 and 22 still. You're waiting for your birthday this year, right?
I'm 22.
Yeah, 22. But you turned 23 this year,
I turned 23 in May.
Yeah, so your birthday's coming up. I just had my birthday recently. So 23, 22 years old, however you want to word it or whatnot.
I'm a youngin'.
Yeah, we grew up. That was kind of amongst the cartoons and whatnot, and looking back on the Adam West, Michael Keaton or whatnot, that was like our Batman necessarily that we grew up on. And, I definitely agree with your stance, though, in many ways, that the villains kind of outshine him more a little bit. The voice was always irritating to me. I've always thought I was like, come on now, like you can change your voice, but it doesn't have to sound like you just smoked a whole pack of Camels right before. But
not the Camels, bro. That's crazy.
Camels getting free advertisement. We'll bill you later. But yeah, no, I think in solely just of nostalgia, we grew up on him, and in many ways as well. I mean, Christian Bale was going to have a great career in general, but I think the Batman help a lot of people see him in a different light. Because I definitely feel like around that time, a lot of people were still banging on him, as American Psycho or whatnot, playing that sort of weird role or whatnot, and I generally think too when it comes to Batman, obviously I tie in how they play as a Bruce Wayne. I think he was a fantastic, best Bruce Wayne in my opinion that I've seen so far. So that's my number 2 right there.
Number 2, Kevin Conroy.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of also hit it on with Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton started the path, but Kevin Conroy ran with it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff we see today, like surrounded by Batman, the animated series, the video games.
Mm-hmm.
I found this on the web.
All right, Siri's listening in.
Even like the animated show, like the Justice League show, like that's all Kevin Conroy, and I mean his voice of Batman is just so iconic.
Yeah, it's one of those voices to where I feel like even if he weren't to voice Batman, it's just one of those that it's Kevin Conroy right there, necessarily. Number 1, I feel like we're definitely. Do we say it at the same time?
Let's hope you didn't. I'm not thinking it's this other Batman that I'm thinking.
I feel like that unless I'm tripping out right now, I feel like there's only one answer left for us.
I hope you're not going to pick the guy I think you might pick.
I'm so scared now.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Robert Pattinson.
Okay,
right.
yeah, there you go.
I thought you were about to say Val Kilmer.
Oh, hell no. Hell, he didn't even cross my mind when we made this list. Oh, God, no.
No, Robert Pattinson, that Batman movie is the best Batman movie of all of them. Like,
take it away, Park. Just take it away for both of us.
That is the best superhero movie. That is the best, Batman, period, end of story. Like, the Batman is the best superhero movie of all time.
He said it. I didn't have to. I agree with it. I literally remember after... first off, when that movie came out that weekend, I saw it 5 times in the opening weekend.
Really?
5 times, I kid you not. I saw it originally by myself, saw it with my sister, saw it with one of my good friends, John. So that's 3. And then the 2 other times were just I just got bored. I kid you not, I was literally in my house and I had already seen it earlier that day with my sister, and I was like, let's go see it again. Why not at this point, And, it was... But as I was saying though, afterwards I had put on my Instagram. I was just I made a top 10 superhero movie list. I literally put Batman number 1.
The Batman encapsulates what Batman is.
Yeah.
Especially I'm a big comic nut, so reading Batman Year One, those 2 stories are so the movie and that are so inspired by each other.
Yeah.
The Riddler kind of kind of being taken more of in a serious tone,
which was about time, in my opinion.
I mean, I like the 60s Riddler where he was kind of goofy and whatnot, but seeing the Riddler like a serial killer more than like a guy that's haha, go figure out my riddles.
Yeah.
I think that boded well with audiences, and it's kind of like Batman, that movie is like a true crime film and a horror film put in one.
And that's the thing, too. Don't get it twisted. We've seen... Because, of course, the main thing about Batman that I've always enjoyed as a character is that, in a way, he's like a detective. He's got to figure all these crimes out necessarily on his own. Of course, with the help of Commissioner Gordon, too. And many others as well. I mean, we can go on and on. Who's in his,
the
core and whatnot.
Oh, my God, dude. Colin Farrell's Penguin... And especially when he's getting this show.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
And that's the thing, too, to where it's we've seen it in so many levels of Batman doing that, but I genuinely felt like watching this movie, it encapsulated everything. Now, I will say, and I feel like we're going to see it more because, of course, a second movie will be coming out in 2026, and I'm assuming it will probably turn into a trilogy, or maybe more. Who knows about that? I definitely think in terms of Robert Pattinson being a Bruce Wayne, there's a lot more room to grow in that aspect because I feel like it was very reserved. But at the same time, I remind myself, it wasn't like a movie with Christian Bale where you saw Bruce Wayne and Batman. It was solely Batman in this. And the one aspect I really love about it too, And shout out them for Matt Reeves for not doing it. We did need another origin film, technically. We did need to see the parents die. You don't have to hire these grade A actors and actresses just to get shot once and then we never see them again for the rest of the movie. It was like, nope, this is my second year. Like, second year as Batman. Which I think was so interesting because it's like he's starting, but like he's used to it by now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you hit it off. That's why I gave you the floor with that when we both said it. It is just, it's the best. It's simply the best. And the second one, the fact the second one got delayed a year, sad, but we'll wait. We'll wait. But one thing you guys will not have to wait for is episode 11 of the Backstage Pass coming out next Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to 5-star it, thumbs up, anything you want. Enjoy this weekend off. Get ready for the last 2 games against Port Huron and ultimately the playoffs coming up. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Without you guys, this show would not exist. So peace and be nice to one another and go out and smell the roses, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good one.